welcome back to my channel. I am going to be doing a weekly wrap-up of the books that I read. Now I want to give a couple of disclaimers right here at the beginning. I have my fan on. I live in Missouri. It's summer heat and I'm hot, so I apologize if you can hear that. The second disclaimer is I will be looking down because I have my book journal in front of me that has all of my thoughts over the books that I read. And the third disclaimer is that most of the books I talk about is for people over the age of 18. If you are a minor and you come across this video and you decide on your own to go look up these books, read them, and get in trouble by your parents, do not send them my way. Because here's a disclaimer that if you're not 18 or older or got permission from your parents, do not read these books unless I tell you you can. With that out of the way, let's jump into the first book. The first book that I read is The Auction by Elle Knight. This is free to read on Kindle Unlimited. It is Second Chance, Marriage of Convenience, Billionaire, Sister Raising a Brother, and it follows Lottie and Link. Now, Lottie's mother, when she was younger, was one of the housekeepers for Link's parents who were rich. So Lottie and Link grew up together. They became friends, best friends, and then eventually they started secretly dating, where eventually Link broke Lottie's heart and Lottie and her mom disappeared into the night. Now the book picks up 10 years later, where Lottie is raising her little brother after the death of her mother, and she is down on her luck. Her little brother has type 1 diabetes, and his medicine keeps getting more expensive, and his hospital bills are racking up, and she's not making ends meet with what she makes at the diner where she works. And Link is a very successful businessman. Him and a couple of friends own a club that has a floor dedicated to special needs. I will leave it at that. Well, Lottie ends up getting a job on the first floor of the club as a bartender, where Link sees her one night, gets very mad that she's there, and tells her she's fired. But in order to fire somebody, all of the business partners have to agree, and he does not have reason enough to fire her, so she continues to work there. The third floor ends up hosting an auction night for pure females. And Lottie throws her name into the ring because it should bring in a lot of money and she desperately needs that money. The night of the auction, Link, who knows that Lottie's going to be auctioned off, is not happy about it. He ends up stealing her away and proposes the ideal of marriage. She marries him for a year. He gets to reap all the benefits of her being his wife, and he will pay her a lump sum of more than what she was going to get at an auction. I believe the amount of money turns out to be $3 million. So what did I rate this? I rated this a 3.5 for plot and a 4 for spice. Now, my thoughts. Most of the time, I was so mad and frustrated at Link that I wanted to take his head and bounce it off of the nearest wall. He was a walking contradiction. One minute, he wanted her. The next minute, he wanted to push her away. And it was beyond frustrating. Only because he didn't have a right to be mad. I didn't see the reason that he was upset with Lottie as a good enough reason. Now, Lottie, on the other hand, I loved and adored this girl. She was so strong, so fierce, so determined to be independent and do whatever she had to do for her baby brother that I respected her. She did what she had to do, and she didn't let herself feel bad about it. And I think that's a great way to live your life. You have to do what you have to do to protect yourself and provide for your family. And as long as it's not hurting anybody else, who cares? And what she was doing wasn't hurting anyone else. This story tugged at my heartstrings so bad because of what happened in the past and why Lottie and her mom ran. Now, I was going to give this book a 4 until we got to the 80% drama. The way Link reacted to the 80% drama was so immature for his age that it gave me what people are calling the ick. But that was the first book that I read this month, so let's move on to the next one. So the next book that I read is Gothicana by Runix. This is a teacher-professor romance. Well, it has paranormal aspects in the book, and it also has some suspense. Now, I'm going to butcher the lead female's name, so I will pop it up on the screen for you. Corvana, I'm going to call her Cora, and Vad. Now, Cora was raised by her single mother on the outskirts of town, and very secluded. They only went to town once a while. They didn't really talk to anybody. So Cora doesn't have a lot of experience with the outside world. But when Cora is 21, she receives a letter from a mysterious university that she has never heard of, saying that she has been accepted to their university, all expenses paid, and they want to know if she would like to attend. Well, of course, Cora wants to attend. So she heads off to this university. Now, in the village that sits at the base of the mountain that this university is built on, she hears rumors that the university is haunted, that the mountain is haunted, and that kind of intrigues her because her and her mother are into paranormal stuff like that. They do tarot readings, they believe in ghosts, and Cora has actually heard one single voice her whole entire life. She calls him Mo, and he has never led her astray. Well, when Cora gets to the mountain, she finds out a couple of tales about the mountains. One tale and one truth, I'll put it that way. Cora meets her roommate and finds out that her roommate's old roommate last year herself by walking off the top of the tower. And supposedly every 5 years on the night of a ball, one person from the school or the town disappears. They vanish into thin air. People warn Cora away from Vad, who is a older student but also a professor. He's working on his doctorate degree, I believe, while also teaching. They tell her to stay away from him, that he is cursed, that he is evil, because he was having a hidden relationship, or this is the rumor, that he was having a hidden relationship with the girl who died the year previously. And 5 years ago, it was his date that went missing the night of the ball. And of course, the ball is happening this year that Cora's there since it's been 5 years. Now, Cora starts seeing things around the castle, and she starts hearing more than just Mo's voice. So Cora goes on a mission to find out what is going on. So what did I rate this book and what are my thoughts? I rated this a 4.5 in plot and a 3 for spice. Let me get the bad out of the way. This book is written in third person, and I find it very difficult to read a book written in third person. It takes me out of the story. I don't feel as connected to the story, and that was the case. However, when it started to pick up like 100 pages in, I had trouble reading the first 100 pages. It took me, I think, a half a day to read the first 100 pages. But once the story picked up, I was able to forget that it was third person, and I got really into the story. In the author's note at the beginning of the book, Runix says that we will find ourselves being frustrated with Vad because we don't get many chapters from his point of view. But I was the opposite. I didn't find myself frustrated with Vad. I found myself intrigued by him, and I didn't believe all the rumors that everybody else in the story believed. I liked how the relationship and the romance between Cora and Vad didn't overpower the plot. It was there, and it was, part of the plot, but the way she wrote it, it intertwined with the suspense and what was happening around the school so good that I didn't find myself missing that suspense plot. The bonus content, however, in this book did leave me with more questions than it did answers. The ending where she wrote, "The end for now." Hey, look, you can see my wife's feet. Anyways, I'm hoping that we get a second book. I know that a lot of people either love this book or hated this book. I'm on the side that absolutely loved this book. I'm not going to say I'm going to go reread it because it is written in third person, but I might go reread it. But I really do want another story. Unfortunately, it's not in KU. I apologize. Up next was my most anticipated read of last month, but I didn't get to it because my anxiety was too high. But I did start it this month, and I finished it. I cried twice, and I absolutely loved it. It's Taming 7 by Chloe Walsh. I'm sure if you're seeing this video, you know what this story is about, but let me tell you, this is Claire and Gibbsie's book, and it is Friends to Lovers. Oh, my heart breaks for Gibbsie. We see why Gibbsie is the way he is, why he is always the jokester of the friend group, why he's always there for everyone, why he doesn't like water, which we know why he doesn't like water if you read any of the books before this, because he lost his sister and his father and almost lost his life himself. And we watch as Claire tries to love a broken boy, find out what's wrong with him, and help him fix himself. That is the main preface of the story, is finding out how broken Gibbsie is and watching him fight to be better, watching him love Claire but know he can't have her, and watching her love him. Now, I will say this. Lizzie is, and I've heard this is why people hate this book, Lizzie is a huge part in this story. But that is because her trauma and Gibbsie's trauma intertwine so much that they might as well be the same person. Now, saying that, I'm hoping and I'm praying, and if this does not come true, I don't know if I will read Lizzie's story, but I'm hoping that Gibbsie plays a huge role in Lizzie's story as well, because the way she treats him in this book makes me mad, and she needs to apologize. And if she does it in her book, might possibly burn a book for the first time in my life. Now, on to what I rated this. I rated this a 5 in plot and a 3 in spice. I already told you what I thought about the whole Lizzie thing. My heart broke for Gibbsie. I didn't cry as much as I cried in Joey's book. I cried at the beginning of this book and at the end of this book. And all I wanted to do was climb in between these pages and hold Gibbsie and tell him that the world is not so dark, that he's not broken, that his past doesn't define him, and that he's perfect. Oh, I absolutely love this man. Now, I'm probably going to pronounce her name wrong, so I apologize. But Claire reminds me so much of Aoife, which is Joey's girl from Saving and Redeeming 6. Because we watched Aoife struggle to love a broken Joey, and we watched Claire struggle to love a broken Gibbsie. She sees Gibbsie as two people. Gibbsie the Joker and Gerard her best friend. And she loves them both equally, but she wants them to become one person. The friend group is always one of the best things about this series. Johnny and Gibbsie are my main friends. I love them too so much, and in this book we get to see Johnny be there for Gibbsie like Gibbsie was there for Johnny, and that is a scene that broke me in this book. We also get to see Joey and Gibbsie's relationship, and I loved what I found myself missing is the Tig and Gibbsie. I needed more of Tig, which is Joey's little brother, messing with Gibbsie, calling him fat, and just terrorizing him. I needed more from that, but it was fine. The one thing that I will say that irritated me with Claire is how she blurted everything out once she figured it out. I understand why she did it. She was trying to protect Gibbsie, but she should have stopped and thought and kept her mouth shut until she talked to him. So that part hurt, and I understand how it hurt Gibbsy. I did think that maybe Johnny would be a little bit upset with Claire for how it all came out as well, but we didn't see that because Johnny, of course, is the perfect book, everything, according to everybody. But that just, it just upset me. I don't want to go back into the whole Lizzie thing because I was a fan of Lizzie before this book, and now that I've read this book, she can walk straight off the coast of Ireland into the water and just keep on going until she's never heard from again. I'm going to leave it at that, or else I'm going to go on and on forever. I will say this, though, of course, this is only my second video on this channel, so y'all don't know this, but I always said that Joey was my favorite male character, and that Redeeming Six was my favorite book. After reading this, and it hurts me to say, and I'm sad to say, that Gibbsy has now replaced Joey. It goes Gibbsy, Joey, Johnny. But book-wise, Redeeming Six still stands as my favorite because that book broke me so hard and then put me back together so well that just nothing has compared to it. While I love this book and I did rate it a 5, Redeeming Six will always be my favorite. But Gibbsy is now my main man. He is mine to protect. He is mine to fix. And no, you cannot have him. I'm sorry. This is not on KU. I apologize, but I'm telling you now, if you have not read the Boys of Tommen series, it is Binding 13, Keeping 13, Saving 6, Redeeming 6, and Taming 7. Run to Amazon, run to your nearest bookstore, pick them up. You will not be disappointed. And if you are, my bad. That's all I got to say about that. Okay, up next is a book that is in Kindle Unlimited, and it is Unperfect by Susie Tate. This is Boss Employee. The female main character is down on her luck. She's homeless, and she is also on the run, and it follows Mia and Max. Now, like I said, Mia is homeless. She is to the point of starvation. She has, I think it's like a loaf of bread and a jar of peanut butter left. So she is desperate for a job. And she goes to interview for a architect firm to do IT for the company. But Max is the grumpy owner of the architect company, and he instantly doesn't like Mia. Thinks that she's hiding something, thinks that she's a teenager trying to pull the wool over their eyes, and wants to fire her. But he listens to his business partner and allows her to stay. Now, the longer that Mia works there, the more Max can't get her out of his head, and the more concerned he gets over her, and the more persistent he becomes on trying to figure out what is going on with her. He finds her near death. She's very sick when he finds her sleeping underneath a desk in the office, and that is when he stops fighting his feelings and he becomes determined to save her and get her help. The main points of the book is who's she running from, can Max get her to allow him to help, and their relationship. So what did I rate it? I rated it a 4 in plot and a 3 in spice. Now I will tell you, this is not the first time I read this book. I believe I read it sometime in 2023 when I wasn't leaving reviews or even doing a book journal. And I remember liking it because it's a very fast-paced story, and it's a very easy story to read. Like, you get drawn into the story, you want to find out what happens next. And it was the same thing this time around. I love the found family in this with Max and his friends and his stepson, which I love his stepson to death. It's a very good book for a palate cleanser. I read this book after reading Taming 7, which was a very emotional read for me, even though I only cried twice. And even though this does touch on sensitive topics, not to the point where it doesn't make it a good palate cleanser, I also think it would help anybody out of a Book slump. Mia is a very strong woman. She faces her adversity heads on and she doesn't let anything get her down. And she's very determined to do everything on her own, and asking and accepting help is very hard for her. But of course, Max and his friends are able to weasel that down or whittle that down and get her to accept the help. Like I said, I love the side characters in this story. This is part of an interconnected standalone. I haven't downloaded or read the second book, but I do plan on doing so. Up next, I was graciously given an ARC of this book, One Weekend in London by J.E. Parker. Now, this book comes out in KU on May 10th, but I realized today that the paper book is actually available for purchase now. This is a small town Southern belle, rich England grumpy man. It follows Sadie and Reese. I'm gonna call him Reese. Sadie and Reese. I will say this is an insta love-ish kind of story, because it is not necessarily a novella, but it is a short book. I think there's only like 100 and some odd pages. What is this story about? After catching her fiance cheating on her with her best friend on their wedding day, Sadie leaves him at the altar. Of course, it doesn't go over well in town, because I believe he is the mayor's son, maybe the mayor's grandson. Anyways, he's part of the popular people who control small towns, and it doesn't go over well. And so Sadie decides that she's going to go on their honeymoon alone to London on his dime, because she still has the credit card that he gave her before their wedding. So he's floating the bill, but he doesn't know it yet. So she goes to London, and on one of her first nights there, she decides that she's going to stop at this fancy hotel and get a drink at the bar. While she's there, a drunk man hits on her and doesn't take no for an answer. Now, Sadie is the type of person who can take care of herself, but before she gets a chance to do that, Reese comes in and saves the day. He threatens the man, like he knows the man, and he forces the man to basically leave the hotel bar. Now, Reese tells Sadie, that he owns the bar, or she finds it out during the conversation with the guy. And Reese is enamored with Sadie from the get-go. He asks Sadie to stay for a drink. She refuses, and she turns to leave. And when she leaves behind her cell phone, which in these day and age, I believe it was an iPhone, so she was able to use her MacBook to answer FaceTimes, and Reese FaceTimes her and convinces her to let him show her London and let him complete her to-do list while she is there. And he is hoping that her to-do list involves sleeping with a random stranger, because he is insanely attracted to her, which she is insanely attracted to him as well. The premise of the whole book is basically, can one weekend change your entire life? Now, what did I think about this book? I rated this a 5 in plot and a 4 in spice. I am a huge J.E. Parker fan. Let me move my head. This top row, half of them books are J.E. Parker books. I own all of her Redeeming Love series, and then I have the first book in her Mafia series that is out, and I will be adding this book to my collection. I absolutely love her. I am thankful enough to consider her a friend. Not sure if she would consider me a friend, but I consider her a friend, and she's an amazing author. This book is fast-paced. It's easy to read. Like I said, it's a very short book, and it is insta love, which I absolutely adore. So I ate it up. It was right up my alley. I love how sassy Sadie is. All of her female main characters, while they go through traumatic stuff, especially in the Redeeming Love series, they are all fiercely independent, and Sadie is just like them. I love the way Reese will move heaven and earth to give Sadie everything that she deserves, and I love how he is determined to use what a little amount of time they have to help fix the insecurities that her ex left when he betrayed her. And just like the Redeeming Love series, the one thing about J.E. Parker's books, or I'm going to call her Jamie because that's her first name. The one thing about her books is the found family And in each family, like in each series, the Redeeming Love, we have the crazy grandmother, and in this series, we have the crazy protective grandpa. And I absolutely love that. I think they are hilarious. They make me laugh. They make me miss my own grandpa. And I'm so excited for this book. I can't wait to see more of the series. Like I said, this is not out yet. This comes out on May 10th. So tomorrow, it comes out tomorrow. And if you have KU, go download this. Hopefully you love it, because I absolutely love it. And this author deserves everything. She's so amazing. Up next, I was given a arc from another author who I like to think of as a friend, and it is Ours to Protect by L.S. Pullen. This comes out May 16th, so it comes out in 7 days. It will be free on Kindle Unlimited, and this is Why Choose, Found Family, Bodyguard. It has Mel romance in it, and it is Grumpy Sunshine. Now, there's 4 guys, so it's a lot to take in. But we have Jax, Elliot, River, Tommy, and the female main character is Lily. And I'll go ahead and tell you that the male couple in this is River and Elliot. And I have to say, so far, they are my favorite coupling. But my favorite guy out of all of them is Tommy. Now let me jump in and tell you a little bit about this book. Lily is on her way home one night when she noticed that she's being followed, and she ran off the road in a really bad way. Her car overturns, she gets pinned in it. She ends up with a sprained ankle and a broken wrist. Her stepfather thinks it's time for them to hire private security for her because she has been getting letters, and they believe she has a stalker. Now, Lily leads a secluded life. When she turns 21, which will be soon, she will inherit all of her mother's wealth, and she will step forward in society to take her mother's place, running charities and different things like that. So her stepfather hires Jax's company, and the 4 guys move into the guest house and start protecting her. Now, Lily doesn't really want 24/7 protection, but she will take it because she has a younger sister by the name of Mia, I believe. And she doesn't want any harm to fall to Mia, so she agrees to have the bodyguards. And of course, because it is Why Choose, we see Lily start having feelings for all the guys. And what I like about this book, which, let me just pause there and let me tell you what I rated it. I rated it a 5 in plot and a 4 in spice. Now on to what I was saying. What I like about this book is that each man has something wrong with him. Not necessarily wrong. They're broken in some sort of way. They all were in the military, so it all stems from that. Tommy has an aversion to touch and people in general. Elliot has a prosthetic leg, so he is insecure about that. I don't think he really touched on what's up with River. I can't remember. But he's more like the bubbly type. But I do know that they said that if ever one of them turns dark, River was the one that would scare them the most. And Jax is just grumpy. He believes because he was the leader of their group in the military, he believes that he let them down because they all got hurt. Now, I loved this book. When I first started reading it, I told myself that I would read for 30 minutes and then call it a night, try to relax, watch a movie with my wife. I didn't do it. 30 minutes turned into an hour, which turned into me reading this whole book in one setting. Normally, with Why Choose books that have a male romance in it, I tend to find issues with, for reasons that I'm not going to go into on YouTube because kids might find this, and unfortunately my family knows about this channel. But let's just say that Miss Pullen wrote that part of this book perfectly for me. I did not find issues with it. I loved it, and I ate this book up. Now, one thing about this book is that it ends on a cliffhanger. I was so irritated by that because I wanted more. I got to that page and I tried to flip to the next page and it just wasn't there. And I cannot wait for it to come out. While I'm irritated, it leaves us on wanting more, and it sets up for the fact that when the next book comes out, I will be running to Amazon to get that book. I cannot wait to find out what happens. Oh, the suspense part of the book of who is stalking her kept me guessing. And even though the book's finished and we end on a cliffhanger, I still don't think I know who's stalking her. I want to say I know who's stalking her, but I don't think I do. And that's just because Miss Pullen has wrote it so well that I have a feeling in this next book she's going to pull the rug right out from underneath me, and I'm going to be shell-shocked, and I'm not going to know what hit me. But like I said, this comes out in 7 days. It will be free in KU, and I highly recommend you run and get it and read it because it is so good. Something I did forget to mention, I wanted to mention, is that I liked the way Lily got to know each one of the guys individually, and she started having feelings for them one-on-one, and it made the aspect of why choose seem so believable to me, because it wasn't like she was spending time with all 4 of them and then all of a sudden just had feelings for all 4 of them. No, she was developing feelings while spending time and building a friendship with each one of the guys, and that part made me like the why choose romance, which isn't really my favorite trope, but I absolutely love this book, like I said 1,000 times. The last book that I read this week, I actually finished last night, and it is Come Out by Alexia Onyx. This is a paranormal romance. It follows Aiden, who is a ghost, and Sky, who is very much alive. Aiden passed away after getting revenge for his sister, who was severely bullied until she couldn't take it anymore. On the night of revenge, let's put it that way, Aiden was attacked by one of the guys, and he unfortunately passed away. Well, he come to and noticed that he was stuck in the house where he committed his acts and where he passed away. In moves Sky with 3 roommates, who eventually get tired of living in a haunted house and move out, leaving Sky alone. And Aiden is instantly drawn to Sky to the darkness that is in her because she is severely depressed, which leads me to trigger warnings. How did I forget? If you've made it this far, if these books have trigger warnings, especially this one, take them seriously. Your mental health matters more than a book. Anyways, back to this book. She is very depressed. She does different things to help with her depression, and Aiden is drawn to that. He wants to try to be there for her and try to touch her because he is that obsessed with her, but he cannot find a way until one night when she can see him. And that one night leads to extracurricular fun, but then he disappears and she is left, Sky is left wondering about him, tries to get him out of her mind. She brings other people over, which makes Aiden jealous, which makes him lash out. So the whole point of the book is what happens when a ghost falls in love with a human, and how do they get their happily ever after. So what did I rate this book? I gave it a 5 for plot and a 5 for spice. I love this book, and I know I said that about a lot of books, but I do. If I talk about the books, I either really like them or I love them, and I love this book. If you have ever read if you've ever watched American Horror Story Season 1 with Tate and Juliet, or if you were a fan of Casper when you were younger, go download this book. I'm telling you, you will eat it up. The little girl in me that was heartbroken and sad when Casper turned back into a ghost and didn't get to stay a human, mixed with the young adult version of me who hated that Tate and Juliet did not get their happily ever after, cheered for this book. This book fixed them 2 broken pieces of me, because man, were they broken. I am a weird person. I don't know what to tell you, but I absolutely wanted Tate and Juliet to be together. I wanted Casper to stay human, even though I didn't understand what was going on. I cheered at this book. I loved it. Of course, what happened to Aiden and his sister and how depressed Sky is, it hurt my heart but the ending made it all better. And the author has put out there that the ending is unusual. It is not the typical happily ever after, but to me, it was perfect. I thought for the longest time that something else was going on. When I found out that that wasn't going on, I was upset because I didn't see how it was going to end, but that ending was perfect. I don't care that it was unusual. I don't care that it was out of left field. I absolutely love this book. As soon as this month is over, because I'm not allowed to buy any more books this month, I'm purchasing this book straight from Amazon. It will be a book I reread all the time. There's a second book in this series coming out, and I cannot wait to read it. If you cannot tell by how animated I am, I loved this book. Alright, that is all the books that I read from the first of the month to, like I said, last night, which was the 8th, which is a little bit over a week, but that's neither here nor there. Thank you for watching if you made it this far. If any of these books sound interesting to you, you may check them out on Amazon. Like I said, most of these are in KU, besides Gothicana and Taming 7. How could I forget that? Them two are the only two that are not in Kindle Unlimited. The 2 ARCs will be coming out very soon. So anyways, I hope that you have a lovely day wherever you are in the world. If you like this video, please leave a like, leave a comment below. I try to respond to every comment I get. And if you like this type of content, stick around, hit subscribe. I would very much appreciate it. But anyways, have a great day wherever you are in the world, and I will see you later. Bye.